I'd have to say what I really enjoy about Happy State Bank is the morale that we have. Part of that goes back to the ownership that we talked about. Everybody understands as an owner, we're going to think like owners, not like managers, and we truly have each other's back each and every day. So that just the teamwork, everyone works so hard for each other, knowing that the ultimate goal is that each one of our customers is going to leave this bank knowing that we have given them everything we have as bankers to exceed any expectations they had out of our bank.
Good afternoon. I would like to introduce Pastor Bert Palmer with Close Street Methodist Church, who will give our invitation.
Let us bow together. God, we begin this day grateful for the rain which replenishes the soil. We are grateful for this community, and those who have labored to bring it to what it is, and pray your blessing upon those who now are entrusted with care for our future and our present. Guide them in their decisions, that the good of all would be weighed against the desires of some, and above all, our community would continue to be a place where people desire to live and to grow their families. For the blessings that you have given to us and are to come, we are humbly grateful. And may our lives be worthy of the gift that you give us in creation. For these things we pray in your holy name. And all the people of God would say, Amen.
Amen. Appreciate you being here. Would you join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Amarillo City Commission held on the third floor of City Hall this Tuesday at 3 p.m. The first item of business on today's agenda is the minutes. Those minutes regarding the meeting held on June 11, 2013. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? If not, entertain a motion.
Mayor, I would move for approval of minutes as presented. I second the motion.
A motion and a second for the minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5 vote. Ordinance number 7411. This is the first reading of an ordinance changing the zoning of Lot 9, Block 8, Fairview Townsite Edition, Section 123, Block 2, ABNM Survey, Potter County, in the vicinity of Southeast 16th Avenue and Dallas Street, from Residential District 3 to Residential District 3 with a specific use permit for a Type B manufactured home. This is recommended for approval by a 7-0 vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Are there any questions about this item from the audience or from the Commission? If not, entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 7411.
Second. A motion and a second for ordinance number 7411. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. Ordinance number 7412. This is the first reading of an ordinance vacating an existing 20-foot alley in a public utility easement in Block 1, Western Plateau Edition, Unit Number 1, Section 6, BS&F Survey, Randall County, in the vicinity of Southwest 46th 7th Avenue and Southwestern Street. This is recommended for approval by a 7-0 vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Are there any questions about this item from the audience or from the Commission? If not, entertain a motion. Mayor, I move we approve ordinance number 7412.
I second.
A motion and a second for ordinance number 7412. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. Resolution public hearing. This conducts a public hearing on and considers orders to remove a substandard structure located at 1620 and 1622 North Arthur. We will now conduct a hearing to determine if certain properties constitute a nuisance by virtue of dangerous structure and accumulation of weed, trash, and junk. or a combination of these. Pursuant to city ordinance, the mayor will make a determination as to the procedural and evidentiary questions. And I now call the case involving 1620 and 1622 North Arthur Street. Owner, the estate of Dorothy Lee Ray, a substandard structure. All persons who may desire to speak and give evidence in this matter, please rise and raise your right hand. 122. If you would, sir, just if you could take your place there and raise your right hand, ma'am, that'd be great. Do you now solemnly swear to affirm that your testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You can be seated if you all would. And Mr. McDonald, I'd like you to go ahead and present the case, if you would.
Thank you, Your Honor. This residential structure is a wood frame construction on a pier and beam foundation. It has a detached garage and a detached shed. These structures have been vacant since July of 2012. Many of the windows and doors and the back door have been damaged or removed. The structure's foundation is cracked and is failing. The two accessory structures demonstrate similar conditions with accumulations of junk and debris. There's been no recent attempt by the owner or owners to repair or abate the hazards. This property is a nuisance to the community, presents multiple hazards for its neighbors, creates an unsafe environment, and is dangerous. The property has accumulations of junk and debris and several abandoned nuisance vehicles. The beginning date for this file is May of 2013. Notification was sent to the estate of Dorothy Lee Ray on May the 10th, 2013, and it was returned May 21st, 2013. The Dorothy L. Ray Revocable Living Trust on May the 10th, returned May the 21st. Walter J. Ray on May the 10th, returned June 14th, 2013. Rocky Ray on May the 10th, 2013, returned May 21, 2013. Tim Fry at 3 different addresses was mailed on May the 10th, 2013, returned on May 21st, 2013. Notice for a public hearing was sent certified to the estate of Dorothy Lee Ray, May 22nd, 2013. Dorothy L. Ray Revocable Living Trust, May 22nd, 2013. Walter J. Ray, May 22nd, 2013, delivered on June 5th, 2013. Rocky Ray, May the 22nd, 2013, not yet returned. Tim Fry at Shields Drive, mailed May 22nd, 2013, returned June 14th, 2013. Tim Fry at Southwest 33rd Amarillo on May the 22nd, returned on May 30th. Tim Fry at South Kentucky in Amarillo, May the 22nd, returned May 30th. The property was posted with a notice of condemnation hearing and a placard on site May 23rd, 2013. On May 3rd, 2010, a plumbing permit was issued to the homeowner to repair the gas line. August 23rd, 2010, a plumbing permit was issued to the homeowner to replace the gas line. Building safety has had no other recent permit activity on this property. The current taxes due on this property are $946.69 for the tax year of 2012. The delinquent taxes on this property for years 2010 through 2011 is $2,507.88. There's been no water service to this property since July 3rd, 2012. Over the past 2 years, this property has been maintained by a city contractor. April 20, 2013, mowing, trash, junk, and debris removal. September 13, 2010, mow, limb removal. Currently, there is $1,123.71 owed to the city against this property for mowing and debris removal. This file is the business record that we have created and maintained in the ordinary course of business in the Department of Building Safety. The contents were made by or at the direction of a person with personal knowledge thereof at or about the time of the events or conditions reflected therein. The photographs in the file accurately portray what they represent. I tender it to you as evidence in this matter and for the purposes of this hearing. However, because this is the original and active file, I request to substitute the electronic version of this file. Such electronic copy is an exact duplicate of the original file that has been secured on the city's IP network under Hummingbird number 2165592. May I approach?
Yes, Mr. McDonald, the original file be admitted to the record of this hearing, and substantiation of the electronic record is allowed for all other purposes, including appeal. Commissioners, you may now examine the file, the original file, and ask questions about it if you have any.
Mr. McDonald, talk about the gas line again, the permit.
Yes, on May 3rd of 2010, a plumbing permit was issued to repair the gas line. Later in that same year, a plumbing permit was issued to replace that very gas line. So we had two permits that were taken out in the year 2010. No activity since then.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. McDonald at this point? Mr. McDonald, thank you. We'll now hear from persons with a legal interest in the property who were sent notices of the hearing. If such persons fail, refuse, or neglect to appear, they are deemed to have admitted liability for the defects and violations as stated in the initial notice. If there is an owner, occupant, or lien holder of this property present who wants to present pertinent information or to question the building official, we would ask them to please come forward. Does anyone have a legal interest? Sir, ma'am, if you'd like to come forward, one at a time. Well, you can both come up. That's fine. And you were sworn in, so your testimony is important. Go ahead.
Well, we had it redone. I lived with my grandmother's house before I put her in the nursing home. And then I put her.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. We do need to get your name and
Oh, I'm sorry,
address.
Geneva Thompson.
Your address, please.
P.O. Box 1055, Raymond, Oklahoma.
Can we accept it, or do we need the street address? P.O. is okay. Okay, thank you.
But I lived
and Walker, right. My address is
5201.
5201 Brown Drive here in the road.
Thank you.
That was my mother's house.
If I could ask each of you to speak separately, and whoever wants to go first should be fine. Sir, if you don't mind, if you could have a seat for a minute, ma'am, if you could speak to us.
Well, what we're asking is, and I tried, I took care of my
You wouldn't mind using the mic?
I
Thank you.
took care of my grandmother by myself, trying to maintain the house, clean it up. That's 50 years worth of hoarding in the house. Every room was full before I went through and cleaned it out. The house part. We're working on the back side, but I live in Oklahoma and the rest of my family lives in Oklahoma. We have bought a tractor. We plan on coming down, destroying the old store that's out back. That's an old store. And cleaning it up. But Granny's only been gone since December. And I'm still trying to get all of her stuff gathered. And I'm the one that's taking care of it all. And I had, when I was living there, the front yard, the whole porch was enclosed in. I tore all that down. And I cleaned off the front porch. But taking care of her, she was 24/7 taking care of my grandmother. I couldn't leave the house, she locked me out. If I went outside to work in the yard, she'd lock me out. So, then I put her in the nursing home. And I had to go back to Oklahoma to work. And I've been coming back and forth. But the house has been broken into. The doors have been kicked in. They were not. All those doors have padlocks on them. That back door that they show where all the glass is gone, there is wire, but it used to be a parakeet shed. But there is wire there and the door is secure. You cannot open that door. And the window that's boarded up on the side of the house, I did that because I took an air conditioner out to take to my uncle's. And the frame was messed up. The glass is still there on the inside, but I wanted to secure it. But it has been broken into, and they have took a lot of stuff from the trunks and stuff of Rocky Blue Race that you can't get a hold of. You can't get a hold of them.
Ms. Thompson?
Mm-hmm.
Mayor, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What are your What are your plans for the house?
We're going to try to clean it up and, like I said, get it all cleaned up, and then we probably plan on selling it. But when I was living there, there's water, there's electricity. I had it all. We had the new gas line put in because nothing had been done to the gas line since they moved it there from Polk Street back in the 50s.
Were you aware that the city's owed almost around about $4,500 total on this?
No. I am not. And that's what I said, I had a problem with the city. They said they mailed me, and the mail still goes there. We still have an active mailbox. And I did not get the letter, and then I cleaned up what they asked me to that one time. I can't remember what it was. They put a notice on the door, and I called them. That was at the time I was putting my grandmother's notice on. And I did clean up there. I trimmed the trees up, and I ran a lawn. Of course, I haven't recently, and like I said, we just lost her in December. And she was the last one.
Okay, well, thank you for your information. It will be admitted to the record of this hearing. Does the city commission have any other questions for this person or for the building official regarding what she said? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, please come forward if you'd like to say something. If not, that's fine.
No, she said it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Now, are there any neighbors or anyone else who would desire to speak about this property?
Oh, 1920.
Sir, please, if you could.
Pardon me, sir. Yeah,
No, about our property, though, not about the property around it.
1920 is property next door. And it is, and has been, empty for 35 years.
The address we have is 1620 and 1622. Are you referring to one of those?
1620.
Okay, you said 19, excuse me.
1620 is next door.
Isn't
That's not, my mom and dad never.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McDonald, I have a question for you then. Can you clarify these addresses to address what he just said?
We have the same owner on both of these properties. That comes through Pratt, and as we did our homework on that.
So the property he's speaking about may not be one of those two addresses, but a different address.
Well, he may be speaking of a different address, but when we talk about 1620 and 1622, they are the same owner.
That, in my mind, clarifies it, so I don't have any other question right now, Mr.
Could I approach, please?
Sir. Hang on just a second, let Mr. McDonald get his things.
Okay.
We have 1620 North Arthur is Dorothy Lee Ray, and we have 1622 North Arthur as Dorothy Lee Ray, both under Pratt, and the addresses, the mailing addresses for both are at 1622, but both parcels are owned by the same owner.
Thanks, Mr. McDonald. Sir, I'm wondering if
And
the...
that, pardon me, sir.
Go ahead.
On that house next door, it says plainly 1620 North Arthur. I do know how that came about. There was a common area between the two properties because the Carvers owned that other place. And then when the Depression hit, they started selling off. And I guess what this gentleman's talking about is
Let's hear from Mr. McDonald when they...
that common area.
This is 1620.
that for a second, if you please.
That's fine.
Because see, that was, 1622 is, duplex, or it was, until Daddy did it in. And then this area here, and it's 1618,
Yes, sir. That's the next house.
that's the Carver house next door. But yeah, they bought that,
This property is all one, same owner, these two parcels.
yeah,
Okay. And these are the two properties that are in question today.
okay.
Not this property, but we certainly can look at this property if it's a question.
Well, that one's been empty for 35 years, or 40.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We do have clarification. We're talking about the right addresses. So next, is there any neighbor or anyone else who would desire to speak about this property? Anyone else in the audience who would like to speak about this property? Excuse me, Mr. McDonald, do you have anything further? And I think we have a question from Commissioner Reeves.
Yeah, I just want a little bit of clarification on this issue right here. Are you saying that there's no structure on the lot that is 1620, and if there is a structure on the lot that's labeled 1622?
This is
Correct. 1622 has the primary residential structure. It also has a detached structure fully upon it. And then there is a third structure which is saddled between the two properties. Other than that, 1620 is a vacant parcel. 1618 is where the next residential property is.
That's the one you just identified as the Carver.
Correct.
Okay, and do you think that it's possible that Carver's residence is misnumbered?
That's very possible. We're going off of Pratt or partial ID, so we know that we're talking about 1622 and 1620. However, that may be addressed on the structure, we certainly can look at that.
Okay, because I don't want somebody showing up and finding the structure's gone.
Absolutely, no, we
We'll make sure.
most definitely identify that it's identified correctly.
I've got a question of Mr. McDonald. So this property belongs to Dorothy Lee Ray, and is she deceased?
The estate thereof, yes.
Okay, so,
And then the others are the heirs, which we were able to locate best that we could and provide notification for.
son and daughter.
granddaughter and son, yeah. And is that, you said the structure is correct, the foundation?
The front foundation is. We haven't done an in-depth analysis of the entire building other than the fact that it was vacant, and we, of course, haven't had any contact with anyone looking to rehabilitate that facility.
Okay, does anyone else have a question for Mr. McDonald or the commission? Mr. McDonald, do you have any further statement?
I do not.
Does the commissioners have any other information they need?
I would like to, I would like to ask Ms. Thompson a question if I could. Ms. Thompson, would you come back up and let me visit with you for just a moment? What would you anticipate doing to this structure in the next 30, 45 days?
If I can get back down here, I had a heart attack 2 weeks ago, and I've just come down for this, I had to drive down for this. But we plan on trying to fix it back up, we plan on it. It's been our home since forever.
Have you attempted to do any permitting on the next phase of your project?
Now, what we need to do right now is clean it up.
Well,
That's what
also,
the old store, see that outbuilding out in the alley, it was an old store, it'd been there before they moved the house, and there was a store right there on the corner. And my grandfather has piled it full of stuff that needs to just go to the dump. But we have to get a tractor to brace it because it's falling, and we don't want to just go in and have it fall on us. And we did attempt, one time we hired a kid to come clean up some of the backyard and haul off junk iron. He made a mess, a bad mess. So we had to let him go.
how would you, in addressing this, you're about $4,000 behind on a building, weed fees and taxes.
Work on it.
I'm sorry.
Work on it, before granting
Work
out.
on it, I'm sorry.
Make an agreement, a payment agreement,
Don't think that's possible, I don't know.
because right now I haven't been able to go back to work. Doctor hasn't released me.
I just,
And all we have is my uncle and all his grandkids. My mother's gone, both my grandparents are gone, it's just the grandkids now. That we're trying to save it.
Well, I'm not saying that we will do this, but the best we could do here is give you 60 days or less to make some real changes, and it doesn't sound like that's gonna be,
That we could do because my father, he, like I said, we bought a tractor and then we're all gonna load it up and bring it down here.
Commissioner, point of order, I'm not sure that we have in this hearing the ability to give extensions.
It would be on your four, your choices at the end, and number four is choices are on this bill. Options. We defer the judication in case and grant the reinstatement.
So what would happen then is if it isn't finished in 60 days, it proceeds as, there's no other hearing, it just is gone, right?
It would come back.
We come back.
Mayor, to come back for another hearing if there wasn't, quote, substantial progress towards the abatement during that period.
Clarify for me the ability for the city to do something about the debt owed during that period too, because we have compound concerns here. We have 2 years of taxes not paid, and we have times of cleanup not paid, totaling $4,000, plus the current situation is not being taken care of, and maybe a problem to take care of because of your health issues too. So-
I have my brothers and sisters, we're all coming, and plus I have cousins that are coming too. They told us they would come and help us. In the old store, there are antiques. We plan on selling that stuff and putting it towards the debt owed. There are antiques in there.
And my understanding by the new procedures that we adopted in the last 12 months is that we don't have to start a process over from the beginning. You can really rather pick up where you left off and proceed and change the designation of how we feel about this product, this particular address.
I believe that to be correct. Well, if that was the option you chose, to provide a period of time for them to cure this, and such wasn't done, we would pick it back up where we are today.
And that period cannot exceed 60 days.
That is correct.
At that point, would all the taxes have to be paid or not?
That's at the discretion of the commission, where we, the city, cannot negotiate delinquent taxes. We do not have that authority to do that.
I agree with that, Mr. Manager. The delinquent tax issue, while it is a fact regarding this property, it's really not a fact germane to whether it's a dangerous structure. That's the issue before us today. That's for a separate procedure. You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor? Ma'am, you see the wall that we're up against, because I don't think you would disagree with us that this is an eyesore.
Well, it's always been a beautiful home, it's just my grandparents.
I know,
We just-
today,
And let him finish, I'm sorry.
today it's an eyesore, and there's, I'm sure people, I'm going to assume people in the neighborhood that object to having that structure in this state in their neighborhood. And we have fought this, I've been on the commission more than my 9th year, continually, and we have finally gotten it streamlined where we can solve or take care of problems like this in an expeditious way. And I sympathize with the problems you have, starting with the death of your grandmother, and then your own personal health problems. But here again, we have to look at the big picture from 20,000 feet. And while we sympathize, and it pains us to hear the problems that you have, and this is the old home place, if you will. And I don't know what the action is going to be able to take, but please try to understand where we're coming from and trying to represent the neighbors in our city. So,
Can I ask you, like, the house behind that one, it's all boarded up, it's empty. The house next door is all boarded up, it's empty. They haven't lived in it. I've lived in this not too long ago.
and they very well may come follow the same process.
It could be in the queue for,
It could be in the process as we speak today, I don't know that. But we just take them one at a time.
and ma'am, as you said, you secured the house and it's been broken into. That's one of the problems, is these are used for a a lot of bad things, and the neighbors are worried about their kids, and worried about vagrants, and worried about drugs, and worried about a lot of things, and it imposes something. I understand you're in Oklahoma, but I understand those people who go home there every night in that neighborhood have expressed to us that we can't keep putting these things off. Now, I'm not saying that we won't do something, but my point is that if this commission decides to give you 60 days, I would not expect a day further. I would not expect anything else, because we have got to get these started. We toured the other day with a group of people that are just adamant. We've got to start doing this. We didn't have the tools to do this 2 years ago. We have the tools now. We've been enforcing it. It is making a change. People are starting to get things done, besides the ones we're having to deal with. We take this very seriously. We also understand and sympathize with your particular concerns, but the overall city is sick and tired of these properties. And in fact, the tax notices have gone out, the weed and debris notices have gone out, for all those to be ignored, for all these letters to be returned, and for nothing to happen, and for it to continue to get worse. Now, I understand you've done some things, but it is not a place that anybody could move into really these pictures. It's not a place that, it's going to be very, very expensive to get this back in shape. It's going to be much more expensive than what the taxes and all that are. The building permits, all the things you'll have to do. I hope you're facing this totally understand comprehensively what you're taking on, because it will not be a small deal. And the cost to get that removed and do that, we know what it costs the city. We know what it costs the city to take the building down. You're taking on a substantial effort, and we don't want to take it and think that 60 days is going to solve it, because it's going to be difficult to get done in 60 days.
Getting it cleaned up, and once we sell it.
Well, yeah, but you'll have to pay all these taxes.
Right, that's what we're planning on doing, if we can get it fixed up and
It's
sold.
a tall order for 60 days is all I'm cautioning you.
Yeah,
Tall
I understand
order.
that.
You could get pretty much a lot of money into it and to no avail if you don't complete it in 60 days. Am I correct? Mr. C?
Get it cleaned up where it doesn't look, but it won't take much to clean,
But-
get everything cleaned around it.
And there I believe the option that's being discussed requires substantial progress towards the abatement of the tax. In this case, you have probably, Mr. McDonald, correct me, you've probably got at least 2 structures that would have to be totally removed. Thanks, Kelly, keep rolling there. That's a structure that's got the hole in the roof. We keep going. All of the things you're seeing here would need to be totally removed. The old boat, all of that's got to go away. The home itself would have to be, at a minimum, completely and totally secured. Is that correct, Scott?
Correct.
Okay. Doesn't mean they have to make the home livable. The issue is not that a home is vacant. The issue would one, be that it has the accumulation of the junk and the debris around it. 2, that it's open. And or 3, and you may have elements of each of these, that it's just structurally unsound. Notice there were places on the roof that they were showing of the home, and then, of course, that piece of the porch. Obviously, I've not been there, so I don't know the detail of that. But large amount of work to be done, and still facing certainly the liens and the delinquent taxes on it. Mayor, does that answer the questions I speak to?
I hope it answers for all the commissioners. I mean, it's a tall order for us to, we don't want to falsely put this in front of you and give you some false hope that you can complete it. Because it's not, it's going to be a big effort and a lot of expense.
I know, I agree on the houses.
Mayor, this may be a situation we haven't seen before, where it may be the will of the council. You could bifurcate this case. You could order the shed. If you find that it's a dangerous structure, and order its removal along with the junk and debris, and then grant some sort of time on the main house structure and have it secured, cleaned up. Again, as the manager points out, it doesn't have to be brought up to code. It simply needs to be secured, and of course, no longer dangerous to the neighborhood. It's just suggesting that with 2 different structures, you may find 2 different solutions applicable to the situation.
And I believe that I may have misspoken. I think there's 3 outbuildings back there. I can't quite tell, but about 3?
They're just little sheds my grandfather put up, they're just plywood.
Okay.
The only structure is that's the old store. That's the actual structure.
So we're looking
It's the same
at
thing.
cleaning up and removing, the old store, the sheds, and the material that we see,
Right.
around that.
He didn't make stuff out of plywood to hide stuff.
I have a question, so we don't set this up in your mind incorrectly, Mr. City Attorney. If we do this, do we make any note now of, or is it improper for us to talk about what we expect to be done for tax and debt of the city at the same time?
That would be inappropriate. This is a dangerous structure.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I would just suggest to Ms. Thompson that if we go ahead and give you some time here, that you not leave here without talking to Mr. McDonald, because I think there's kind of a checklist. Because I know that if we see you again in, 60 days, it won't be,
It'll be over.
it'll be over.
I mean, is that-
Yeah.
Now, I plan on cleaning up all the outside, everything comes down, and the windows replaced.
And the doors secure, and you can deal with the structure, rebuilding it over time, but I think what we're saying is we would expect those outbuildings to be cleaned up, a lot to be cleaned up, the building to be totally secure, so the neighbors, doesn't impose a danger to the neighbors, to the children. And, at best, that's probably what you see, and the removal of the boat, the travel trailer, the cars, the yada yada.
We'll probably move the travel trailers, pull my grandparents' stuff out of their bedroom. We need to go for it.
Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, thank you. Let me ask you a quick question, if I could, the building official. Scott, are we looking at the need for a demolition permit to pull this stuff out?
To remove any structures you would, and then ultimately could be done in the provisional permit pieces in this, which under option 3.
Mayor and Commission might suggest that we look at option number 3. Option number 3 would have you declaring the situation to be dangerous, ordering its removal, etc. However, finding that reason exists to grant a reprieve to allow Ms. Thompson to obtain the permits necessary and then to follow through on those permits. If she does, your situation's been resolved and we've accomplished what was intended to be accomplished. Now, the difference being, if not, it would not come back to the commission. You've already made your order. So if she did not get the permits or did not follow through with the permits, then the condemnation order would just go right back into effect and it wouldn't necessarily have to come back.
What is the time limit on number 3?
Provisional permits are,
60 days.
it's just 10 days to get it.
And that's together.
So you have 10 days to get it, 6 days, but you have 70 days to accomplish what we have just talked about to secure that. Is that
I can do it.
reasonable?
I can do it.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald, is there anything else that you'd like to add, this testimony or explanation, please?
And I might also suggest that we may be able to also take care of some of the arrears on the financials.
I'm sorry.
The arrears on the financials we could also address in the permitting process.
Okay.
Okay, but not something we would deal with here today.
Okay.
Okay, the hearing and the evidence is now closed. The commission, we may now publicly deliberate our decision. We must weigh the following factors: the validity of the allegation, the alleged violations, the severity of any violations, any such corresponding danger to the public. Also, take due regard for private property rights of the owner, fair opportunity for legally interested parties to have been notified of the problem and the opportunity to repair, remediate, and remove dangerous structure, or the accumulation of excess vegetation, junk, and debris. We must also weigh the private property interests of the neighbors who have been affected by any further delay or deterioration of the subject property. Finally, we may consider any other relevant factors that are unique to the circumstances in this case. So at this point, we deliberate and then choose one of the options we're given in the ordinance. Do we have it?
I have a motion.
Good.
Okay. I move that this commission find that a public nuisance does exist and has not been timely abated, and now if we would issue the following orders for the properties at 1620 and 1622 North Arthur Street, choose option 3, and with the addition of option 5, that would require also the cleanup of the rubbish, trash, solid waste on that land.
A motion.
Mayor, if I may, we want to For the benefit of the public and the record, no one knows what Roman 3 is.
Okay. Do you want me to read it?
Read it, please. What that
Okay, I'll read it. Option 3 is the structure is a danger and ordering its removal 10 days after notice of decision. However, further finding that good cause exists to grant a reprieve on that order to allow the interested persons in the property to seek to qualify for and obtain a provisional permit during that period. And if obtained, then the reprieve shall continue for the duration of such permit or successor permit as provided in this section. The reprieve granted under this subsection shall expire upon the latter of the expiration of time to apply for and obtain a provisional permit or the expiration of such permit. If at expiration of the reprieve of the building official finds that the defects that gave rise to the finding of a dangerous structure have been abated, then the prior order of the City Commission to remove the structure is moot, or if the defects remain, then the building official shall proceed to carry out the City Commission's prior order to remove the dangerous structure.
number 5.
Oh, and number 5. Number 5 is the interested persons of the lot, tract, or parcel of land with accumulation of rubbish, trash, solid waste, and/or unsanitary matter described in the notice of violation are hereby ordered to remove the same from the premise within 10 days from this order.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes. Would we need, maybe in item 5 or something, to put in some kind of clause that all of the only structure that we remain standing is the residence. All the other outbuildings are considered, what do I say, rubbish, trash, solid waste, or
Can that be done through the building?
That can be done, if I might suggest, through the permit process. The out structures, I don't believe are something that can or would be saved. Then if they're able to
entrepreneurs, and I think this project allows us to expand the sandbox and add to our arsenal, as Brian said, to really assist entrepreneurs. If you're a new entrepreneur, we're seeing companies coming to us at an earlier stage all the time, so we created a pre-incubation program. We funded 2 companies this year through the Enterprise Challenge, gave them $100,000 checks, and they didn't have a bank account yet. So we're seeing companies at an earlier stage, and they need assistance in really a peer-to-peer environment with other entrepreneurs who have been there and done that. So now, with this program coming into the Enterprise Center, you would meet with a business development specialist that would get you on the path to taking your company to the next level. You would immediately meet with a lead entrepreneur residence company, a company that we've partnered with throughout the region to develop entrepreneurs. They would help set the guidelines and the benchmarks for where you are and where you want to go. Also within the Enterprise Center, you're going to collide with a sales specialist that can help you really focus on sales, a finance specialist that can help you focus on how you're spending your money, how you're spending your time, an HR and legal specialist. And so it really accelerates, we call it business incubation with urgency, and it really accelerates the process of when an entrepreneur comes into the Enterprise Center and how they grow and graduate. And that's our ultimate goal, is not to subsidize companies forever, but to give them the tools to grow. And you've seen 10 companies graduate from the Enterprise Center that have been very successful, and we'll have 6 that will graduate this year. And that's our goal every year, is to graduate more companies. With this, it really expands our opportunity to diversify the entrepreneurial landscape, to bring in new talent, new resources, new money for helping these entrepreneurs to grow. And we estimate that in the 5 years of this project that we will support over 127 companies that will have produced almost 1,600 jobs through this project. So it's a pretty good return on investment, about $2,500 per job.
Would you talk for a minute about your track record? Because I know you've had much higher success than normal if the person just goes out and starts a business.
Sure. Of those businesses that work with our coaching and mentoring and assistance through the Enterprise Center, typically the SBA would say that if a company starts today, 80% of those businesses are going to go out of business within the first 5 years. Of the companies that have gone through the Enterprise Challenge, that have gone through incubation, over 80% of those businesses are still in business today, and that's tracking over an 18-year period with the Enterprise Challenge, and now over 12 years of working with companies within the protected environment of the incubator. Good question. Thank you.
Important success.
I point out what Ryan was speaking of. This is a grant, and it's a matching grant.
Correct.
We put up, we'll match what can be raised out there in private pools.
Yeah, and just recently, we submitted a grant proposal to the Economic Development Administration. We are a university center of the Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration, and that is matching grant funds. The EDC money is cash match for what they would provide. And then we would also ask other foundations and that sort of thing for additional matching funds. Good thing to note is the last project we approved, the investment of $500,000 in the expansion of the Enterprise Center, is also moving forward. And we just submitted a grant to the EDA for $1.2 million, and we're in the process of raising an additional $2 million for that project as well. So we expect that that new building will be online within the next 2 years.
Also, Ryan, you have a cohort with you. Would you mind introducing them? You guys don't get much limelight. I'd like people to know who it is.
Sure. This is Doug Nelson. He is our Vice President of Financial Services. Some history. Mr. Atkinson and Mr. Nelson used to work together a long time ago at the RPC. I then worked for Doug. Jared left for greener pastures, and I did as well. So Doug has come over to head up the Financial Services Department that is known as Texas Panhandle Regional Development Corporation, which is the facilitator of the SBA 504 loan program. So there's also a fit there with David and his group. Should one of your clients have a need for financing, Doug can put together the funds.
So what we got here is a story of a lot of homegrown successes.
That's correct. Certainly.
David is very well spoken. Who taught you speech?
I had one of the best college speech teachers in the world, and Ellen Robertson Green, my speech. She goes on record.
Sorry.
I'm not sure it's a luxury having me in her class, but we had a lot of fun. I'll give her all the credit.
Thank you. Valuable projects. We appreciate the ability to look. Okay. We, I think, had a motion and a second. We did not yet.
No, I haven't.
Regarding the, excuse me, we want to talk about one other item on the consent agenda, and I'll let Commissioner Eska hit it.
Well, I would just like for our city manager to comment on it. We are awarding for escalator replacement at Hudson International Airport, and I think it's worthy of note because it's going to be a little inconvenient when we get started. It's going to be a big task, but it's just another way to improve the airport. And Jared, would you make a few comments about how long and what's going to be happening at the airport as we go forward?
Certainly, Commissioner, thank you. This is item B on the consent agenda. It is the purchase and installation of 4 new escalators. So that's the total number of escalators we have out there. The 4 that are in the building are actually original to it. These 4 new ones will be awarded to Schindler Elevator Corporation. They carry about a 6-month lead time to manufacture. Escalators aren't typically constructed in stock because they have to fit each unique place that they're going to go. So as soon as we make this award and get the contract signed, they'll begin that 6-month lead time. Bringing them into the airport is going to be quite an endeavor. They'll actually have to remove some of the storefront glass downstairs. Old escalator will come out, new escalator will go in, close it up, then they'll get the new one, get it installed, and then move on. They'll do those one at a time. So it's going to be quite lengthy. Apologize in advance for the
delays that will cause and for the inconvenience, but I do think long-term, we're going to see great improvements out there. And in fact, I think this will pretty much finish out the work within the interior of that building. Your elevators will all be new or nearly new, and then you'll have new escalators for the first time since the early 1970s. So we're really excited to do this.
I understand you can't even really get parts for the old escalators anymore.
That's correct. The old one's been there long enough. The parts have to typically be manufactured in order to keep them working if you make major breaks on them.
We also have some guests here with the bank depository contract. Since we're having everybody come up, does anybody want to hear from them? They've won this contract again and done great service for the city, so I'll just comment that. They have won a competitive bid to do the bank depository contract, and the city's very pleased with their past efforts. Any other items on the consent agenda that need to be discussed, or not, I entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda as outlined and presented.
I second.
A motion and a second for the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with a 5-0 vote. That concludes the regularly scheduled meeting of the Amarillo City Commission today. It's however customary at this time to allow citizens with community matters not on the agenda pertaining to city policy, programs, or services to speak to the commission. And the floor is now open for such comments. If anybody would like to come forward. While you're coming up, sir, we'd just like you to state your name and address and keep your comments to 3 minutes if you can. Okay. Thank you very much.
My name is Bill Sweeney. I live at 2605 South Jackson, Amarillo. That's right across from the Amarillo College. We've lived there for 24 years, me and my wife, and had a couple of kids, and have really enjoyed it and watched the college do a wonderful job of just being such a wonderful part of the community. Last year, we've had 2 kids, and we successfully raised them on a busy street for many years too. We did lose one dog one year. One of the kids was going a little fast down the street and ran over our dog. But last year, we noticed that they were building something across the street from our house. And me and my wife were kind of wondering what was going on, and they put in some equipment across the street from some children's equipment. They moved it from I guess that was the southwest corner, over to our side, which is the Jackson Street side. And then they started putting something else in, and we wondered what that was, and it's a splash pad, very close to the street, right across the street from our house. Let me just say, we've been there a long time, and I've wanted to come before for a long time just because of it's just a busy place, and it's no parking on one side of the street west from 24th to 27th between 7 and 1. And I'm assuming that's to protect our students during busy times. But now we have a new problem. Now we have young children. Lots of young children, and when that changes from at 1 o'clock to parking across the street, it's quite a mess. And I see Ellen walking quite a bit over there, and I'm sure she's seen some of that. But just the other day, a ball was crossing the street. It's impossible to see now kids darting across the street, and I'm very careful.
Now, you're saying when it's open to parking on both sides?
Yes, which is after 1 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Or the weekends, it's both sides. So what I would like to see us do is we need to make that west side of the street, or east side of the street, excuse me. I think we need to make that side of the street, no parking on that side. And it's an inconvenience to me. But it's good, but it's bad. We can hardly see to get out of our driveway sometimes. But to be honest with you, selfishly, that's a selfish thing. But it's more about all these kids that are coming to this splash pad. But what I'd like to see them do is from 24th to 27th, just have no parking on the east side of the street really it needs to be all the time. The college has grown so much, the parking is crazy. And we've been lucky, I think, up to this point. I don't know of anybody getting run over, but if it happens, it's not going to be a good thing, okay? And so, so I would just like to suggest that we change that side of the street to no parking on that side of the street, so nothing bad happens.
Mr. City Manager, what does it take to study that and make a decision in terms of traffic?
We'll take that to the traffic engineering department today and have them start looking into it. They'll be able to conduct some speed studies and some other deals and see what might be the best way to do that.
Very good suggestion. We'll study it. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else who would like to comment today?
My name is Carolyn Gordon, 1947 South Mars. And I wanted to bring up the subject of the street feeding schedule again. I wasn't planning on bringing it up, except that at the, because that's between, as far as I'm concerned, the city, the health department, to redo me, and I think that is something that's working out. But I received a letter, email from Gary Fox, and he is the president of the Amarillo Coalition for the Homeless, and I want to read this letter, and so therefore he brought it in. So it says, Carolyn, I hope your day is a good one. We have posted through the coalition your posting for the street feeding schedule in June, which they do it every month. They send it out to nonprofits and agencies. Please let me know if all the providers of meals are meeting the rules set by the Amarillo Health Department. The coalition supports the rulings made, and if we are to continue to post the schedule, we must be sure that we are not representing any choice to not support the ruling. Thank you for your work, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks, Gary S. Fox, President, Amarillo Coalition for the Homeless. So that's why I'm here, is why is the coalition being brought into this when this is being worked out? It's taken time, but this is all being worked out. People that are feeding the homeless on the streets with the city, with the health department. So why is the homeless coalition being brought into this? That's what I would like to know.
They have an open right to get involved in anything they want to, I suspect. I mean, I don't think we control them, or I don't even know.
Okay, well, Gary Fox brought to our attention, he said, well, the city gives us a lot of money, you know, so he makes a comment, you know, once in a while.
A lot of what did you say?
Money.
Oh.
So I went ahead and I sent him an email, and I just stated in there in that email, and I said, well, I'm a little confused here, and I'm concerned because if you're talking about they're giving a lot of money to us, then is this going to be any influence on us, the coalition? You know. So then the next meeting we had, then he went ahead and he said, no one gives us any money, so he just went ahead and tried to retract it, regardless. And so him bringing it up, so then I thought, all right, I brought it up at the coalition meeting, so I was bringing it up to you too to see, I wanted to hear your response to it.
I don't have any response. I have no response.
Well, I think your response already was that you don't have anything to do with them.
Well, I wanted to define who they were. I really don't know who Gary Fox is.
He's the president of the Amarillo
I
Coalition.
understand him. I don't know him personally, never met him that I know of. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Well, I have 9 seconds. Then, why are you all being brought into this?
I received no letter from him.
So do we need to, how do
I
we?
have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
I brought it up.
I'm sorry. I just don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other comments to come for the commission, please? If not, at this point, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you for your participation.